Welcome to Fight News Now Extra. John Pollock here alongside Corey Erdman. We are coming out of the Floyd Mayweather Jr. Manny Pacquiao fight. What a polarizing fight, Corey. The world is just at odds over this particular fight and the fallout. My goodness, I can't believe what vitriol has come out of fans.
I have Mayweather-Pacquiao fatigue, not just the coverage of Mayweather and Pacquiao and of the fight itself, but from all the comments afterwards. And it seems that every single article about this fight is the same. It was a boring fight. It was a letdown. Somehow it didn't save the sport of boxing. I don't know why every super fight and every event is for some reason a referendum on the state of the sport of boxing. All I know is this will have probably sold 3 million pay-per-views, and the people that were going to watch boxing beforehand are going to continue to do so. And even if none of those people come back, clearly boxing was healthy enough to make Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao very, very rich men even before this super fight. So everything will be just fine.
And it's amazing that if you look, had this been the fight of the year, do you really think that the retention rate of people that were tuning into maybe their one fight a year, if that, we're necessarily going to become tried and true boxing fans out of this? I think it would have been minimal, the amount of people that would be going on and looking at the next set of fighters. I think this was a giant spectacle, and with that comes tons of fringe fans that are stepping in. We see that across all sports. The Super Bowl is a perfect analogy for what this was. You don't necessarily have football fans watching the Super Bowl.
Exactly. That is exactly it. So this was a super fight that regular sports fans, general people who maybe don't even watch sports at all, were going to tune in for this fight. And you're right. Even if this were the fight of the year, next Saturday when football is on, when basketball is on, that is what they're dedicated to on a weekly basis. That's what they're going to sit down and watch. Now, boxing is doing great numbers on network television. Everything is doing just fine. We don't have to worry about the health of the sport. And in general, these super fights, when they do come around, these generational clashes, so rarely does it produce a satisfying ending or any kind of an exciting contest. You know, you look back at Mike Tyson, Lennox Lewis. Well, that was an anticlimactic fight. Joe Louis, Max Schmeling 2, which is probably the biggest sporting event maybe in the history of the world. Well, that was a second round blowout. We don't get these satisfying endings in the super fight. That's not what it's about. It's about the spectacle, and we certainly got a spectacle on Saturday night.
It's also in any kind of avenue. It's not the big, exciting fights to me that are it's stars that draw. We can look at mixed martial arts. You can look at professional wrestling. It's all this. It's giant stars. And Floyd Mayweather Jr. has never been the most aesthetically pleasing if you're just a guy that wants to see a fight of the year candidate, but he's a giant star that the world stops to watch, and that was the case on Saturday.
And what did you expect? I mean, everyone knew these two fighters to some degree coming into the fight. If you didn't, I guess maybe you had no idea what to expect, but for the most part, these are the two most visible fighters of the past 30 years. Everyone has seen what Manny Pacquiao does, what Floyd Mayweather has done and can do. You should have known what kind of fight we're going to get into, and I still thought that it provided some drama in the first half of the fight before we kind of settled into the masterful Floyd Mayweather performance. That's what you should have expected, I think, out of this fight. And just because there's a whole bunch of money on the line and it's a grandiose event doesn't mean that two fighters who are taking part in a sport where you're trying to get the victory at all costs are supposed to just stand toe-to-toe and take some risks that they otherwise wouldn't. You wouldn't ask a pitcher to groove some fastballs down the middle just because you like to watch home runs. And for some reason, boxing, even though it is a sport, we ask more out of these guys that they just shouldn't and cannot provide.
You look towards September. That is when Floyd Mayweather says he will return to finish off his gigantic deal with Showtime. Who is, to you, the candidate to share the ring with Floyd Mayweather, and do you believe that will be it for him after that?
I don't believe that will be it for him. I do think that at the very least we will get Floyd Mayweather coming out of retirement, so to speak, or coming off a vacation, as he put it last time, to get to 50-0. But right now the leading...
And probably a bidding war to get that 50th
Absolutely, yeah. It won't necessarily be on Showtime or CBS. You can believe that. There will be a bidding war. Right now the leading candidates are either Amir Khan or Keith Thurman. Could there be some other names that pop in there? Possibly. You could see a guy like Danny Garcia possibly toss his name into the hat. Those would be the three for me, and I still think, and I've been saying this for quite some time, I still think that even though there is a whole lot to deal with Rock Nation and Al Heyman, the fact that they have Jay-Z and Beyonce and Al Heyman have some legal trouble to work with right now, I still think that there is probably some way that Floyd Mayweather faces off with Miguel Cotto once more and tries to win the middleweight title on his way out. I just think that somewhere in his mind he wants to silence those doubts, that all those doubters that said he wouldn't move up to middleweight and win that title. He can get that out of the way, albeit probably at a catch weight, and there'll be some reservations and some concessions to be made in order to make that fight. I still think that happens before Floyd hangs him up for good.
All right, he is Corey Erdman. Fantastic coverage all around Mayweather and Pacquiao, and we have more Fight News Now Extra coming your way.